Good morning everybody and welcome to another video from Two Tier Travels. As we can see, spring has finally decided to arrive here and everything's looking a lot more luscious. It's a great word, that, luscious. 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 Okay everybody, so the topic of today's video is going to be the demise of the United Kingdom or Great Britain. So just to give you some background about myself, I haven't actually lived in the UK properly, let's say, for almost 20 years. I left in 2007, I believe. Bird, will you shut up please? I'm trying to make a video here. Now everybody, this topic, berating the United Kingdom, is one that's dear to my heart, let's say. But yeah, I could talk for hours about it, but I'm going to try and condense things down, and I don't have a script to work off, but let's see how we go. Yeah everyone, so for the lion's share of the last 18 years or so I've been living here in Eastern Europe. So usually I go back to the UK 2 or 3 times per year, and going back to my family's residence and, you know, spending a couple of weeks, then coming back. Now, like I said, everybody, over all these years, I was going back to the UK a few times per year, but I wasn't fully appreciating how things were changing in the country because like I said, I'd go back to my family's residence and I'm, you know, doing not very much when I'm back in the UK. In all these years I've been in Eastern Europe, I was mostly reliant on reports from Brits I would meet in Eastern Europe concerning the state of affairs in the UK. Now everybody, when I would return back to the UK, the failings of my country were all too clear to see as soon as I arrive at the airport. So I'm sure it's the same for many of you who have lived outside of the UK for a long time. You arrive back at the airport, you take a look around and it's like, bleh. So yeah everybody, you perhaps arrive at an airport that calls itself London Stansted, London Heathrow, London Luton, London Gatwick, but it doesn't feel like England at all. It feels like you turned up in the Middle East somewhere, maybe Dubai or Qatar or somewhere like that. Yeah everyone, so you arrive at the airport, you're a bit peckish, you want a drink, you go to Marks and Spencer's and you buy a sandwich and you're aghast at the prices. And then you go to Costa Coffee and they give you something that looks like soup. It barely resembles coffee whatsoever. Then everybody, you buy yourself a ticket to go to actual London, central London, and it costs you an arm and a leg. And if you're lucky that the train turns up on time, you get on the train, it's dirty, it's full of degenerates, and you think to yourself, oh my God, what has this country come to? But everybody, as is often the case, the train might not turn up at all. You arrive on a Sunday and they'll say, sorry, planned engineering works. And they'll say, but don't worry, you can use that, that train ticket you paid 30 or 40 quid for to go on the bus, the replacement bus. Well, isn't that kind of them? Then everyone, you get home and everything's fine for the first couple of days, but then it starts to go downhill, as we know. When I was younger, I'd often say, oh, I'm going to have a look around the shops. But there's no shops left in the UK anymore. The only shops left are betting shops and charity shops, it would seem, so it's an absolute scene of degradation. And the locals that actually spend time in the town centres these days are reminiscent of Wayne and Waynetta slob. And a large percentage of the townsfolk are in disability scooters. Now, a lot of them don't have any disability whatsoever, they're just lazy. Yeah everyone, so you see this convoy of mobility scooters with people that are only about 30 or 40 years old. Yeah, I think a lot of these Brits in mobility scooters, there's actually nothing wrong with them. They're just extremely lazy and they get a sense of power. They feel like they're dominating the pavements, and if anybody should cross them, then they can make some complaint to the police and say, oh, he attacked a cripple. And don't get me started on the food, everybody. You go into the supermarkets and you look at the meat and you think to yourself, meat's not supposed to look like that. I mean, you're looking at the chicken and it's just totally white. Chicken's not supposed to look like that. Chicken's supposed to be red. be quite red. It's called blood. Yeah, and you look around more in the supermarket, everybody, it's just absolutely full of junk food, like chocolate, crisps, fizzy drinks, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's no surprise that the UK is one of the most obese countries in the world. And then you go to the healthy section, you go and look at all the fruits, and everything's perfect looking. There's not a single kind of blemish or deformity on these apples, but then you get them home, you bite into them, and it tastes of nothing, just tastes of water. And the same goes for most of the meat. You get that white chicken home, and it just doesn't taste of anything. It tastes like a rubber chicken. Same goes for the pork, and you actually wonder what these animals look like in real life before they were killed. Probably like something from another planet. Although I do think the beef and the lamb is actually pretty good in the UK. Now everybody, if you want to eat normal meat like you find in many places here in Eastern Europe, you're going to pay a severe premium for it. So to get something of equivalent quality to you get here in Eastern Europe, you have to pay like 3 times the price of the basic meat, let's call it, in the UK. So yeah, in these supermarkets you have like Morrison's Best or Taste the Difference or something like that. So yeah, if you're comparing prices in the UK to Eastern Europe, a lot of the things are actually similar price, but the quality is substantially different. Now everybody, let's talk about British women. Now I don't want to be too nasty about this, but yeah, British women don't have the best reputation in the world for their beauty. But the shocking thing to me, everybody, is that you see some good-looking guys in the UK. Looks like, you know, they're in shape, they're working out a lot, rippling muscles, and their girlfriend is like some blancmange on 2 legs. Yeah, everyone, so it seems like the situation is so bad in the UK with regard to dating. There's a severe male thirst, and they'll hook up with just about anything. Yeah, everybody, and you ask these guys about their dating preferences, and they say, oh, I like them a bit thick, I do. There's thick, and yeah, there's obese. Yeah, everyone, so it seems like feminism has totally destroyed the UK like many other Western countries. You see an ever-increasing amount of homosexual men, and if they're not homosexual, then these androgynous types, you know. It's a very fine line, and even the men that are pretending to be or claiming to be heterosexual, they have this lisp. You know, they're wearing skull caps, earrings, they got their tote bags. Now everybody, it seems like if you actually act like a heterosexual male the way you would do in Eastern Europe or many other parts of the world, in the UK you'd be arrested. And it's not beyond the realms of possibility, everybody, that in the near future you're going to have to bum another male just to prove you're not homophobic. Yeah, guys, so I'd hate to be a young guy growing up in the UK these days having to deal with the British dating scene. You know, it's very dangerous to approach girls in the street. If you go out to a girl and you start talking to her, she can call the police. Yeah, everybody, so as a man, the British government want you castrated as possible. Yeah, British man, so the kind of guy that your government wants you to be is one that's sitting at home all the time with your Netflix subscription, overweight, on a drip feed of BBC News. And also, everybody, going back to food, they want you to be on a diet of Doritos and Coca-Cola. And most importantly, everybody, they want you to be as gay as possible, taking it in the backside on the regular. Because, everybody, the more gay that you are, the more agreeable you're going to be when it comes to playing along with their silly games. Now, everybody, the nightlife. Now, I haven't done the nightlife properly in the UK for many years, thank God, but as I understand it these days, you're paying like 7 or 8 quid for a beer and maybe 20 quid for a cocktail, I don't know. And you look around you in the bar at the clientele, and you know, it's maybe some butch lesbians or some farmer with his dog dribbling all over the place. And it seems like the nightlife in the UK is finished for other reasons, largely due to social media. So this has been going on for a while. People are just not going out anymore. They can entertain themselves at home. You've got Yeah, girls don't need to go out now to meet a guy. They can just sit at home and take pictures of their bum and put it on Instagram. Now, like I said, everybody, I could talk for hours about how messed up the UK is these days, but I'm trying to keep it as condensed as possible. So let's move on to the next topic, which is racism against heterosexual white males. So I don't need to tell you that if you're white, male and heterosexual, then the UK is not a good place to be these days. Yeah, everyone, so we can see from the British media these days, you know, on TV and on the internet, that the white heterosexual man has disappeared. At best, usually you'll get some homosexual males or some very androgynous males. So yeah, we can see it's mostly black. Not many Chinese, not many Paraguayans, not many Indians, but black. So yeah, the UK is 83% white. So why white males are so underrepresented, I have no idea. Well, actually, I do have an idea, everybody, because they're pushing this failed multicultural utopia on us. So yeah, everybody, they're always blabbing on in the UK about this diversity, equity and inclusion, or whatever the hell it is. But wouldn't it be fair if the UK was 83% white to have, you know, much more white people in the media than non-white people? Would that not be fair? Yeah, everyone, so it would seem in the UK the powers that be have contempt for the white heterosexual male. So it's no surprise that many of us are leaving the UK. But I can tell you for certain, everybody, if World War III does kick off, then Whitey's going to make a comeback. Imagine what the advertising would be like in the UK if we're on the cusp of World War III. The billboards will be plastered with chavvy white English guys like flying their Union Jack flags. And everybody, would be a great way to deal with the immigration problems in the UK. All these immigrants that came to our country saying their country's so dangerous would all of a sudden change their minds and get on the next plane back. And the feminists, everybody, they'll be going straight down to Tesco and buying rubber gloves, dish brushes, fairy liquid, vacuum cleaners and that kind of thing. And let's be honest, everybody, yeah, if we are facing World War III, then what British values can we fight for these days? I don't know. Putting milk in tea, saying please and thank you all the time, queuing in an orderly fashion. Now, as I said, everybody, I haven't lived in the UK for a long time, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that are living in the UK that are very happy. But I think that even these people that are happy living in the UK these days can still see a marked deterioration in the living standards. Now, millionaires, everybody, are leaving the country en masse, and it's no great surprise considering how high the taxes are these days. And if you were a wealthy individual, then why the hell would you live in the UK anyway? You can, you know, live in some much more pleasant country, probably for a lower price. But it's not just the fact that these wealthy individuals are leaving the country, because they're taking the whole companies with them. So they're taking all their staff out of the country as well, which is a serious problem for the UK. I think Keir Starmer said something like, well, it's okay because we're actually attracting a lot more people to the UK than are actually leaving. But the problem with that is they're shit munchers. Yeah, Starmer, we can see the kind of people that are attracted to coming to the UK these days. Boats full of them crossing the English Channel every day. The doctors, lawyers and accountants of tomorrow. Cost of living in the UK these days, everybody, is atrocious. It's pretty much impossible for even successful people to get on the property ladder without the help of banker mum and dad. Or many people would just never be able to afford to buy a property in the UK. And this mass immigration, everybody, is keeping wages down in the UK. So all this slave labour that's been imported into the UK is hurting everybody's salaries. Now, everybody, it would seem that the only way the UK holds any economic relevance in the world today is by continuing to loot other countries. So yeah, Iraq, Afghanistan and Libya. I could ring off a lot of countries. Ukraine is the latest one. Now, everyone, it's always under the guise of spreading democracy, of course. But in reality, they always need a bogeyman. It could be Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi, Putin, Milosevic, and they'll try and convince the populace that this is the most evil man in the world and he's running a brutal dictatorship. Yeah, everyone, so we're being told Putin is the most evil man in the world. But let's compare the actions of Putin in Ukraine to Netanyahu in Palestine. The death tolls are many times higher in Palestine. There's basically carpet bombing and a very strong case for genocide. But the West, as we know, are very soft on Israel. I'm not a fan of the actions of Israel or Palestine, everybody. I'm just trying to highlight some double standards here. I want to go back to talking about feminism a bit, because it seems like the UK is one of the capitals in the world for anarcho-feminism. So the birth rates in the UK are pathetic. The only thing propping up birth rates is immigrants from maybe Muslim countries or Africa. They're having about 6 children each. But a lot of women in the UK have been told that motherhood is beneath them, so instead they should aim to be the CEO of a company or something like that. So what happens is a lot of women are shoved into offices, being made to believe that they can become CEO one day. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't, and they get their 3% pay rise or whatever every year, and the ovaries are slowly drying up, and then by the time they get to their 30s they realize they've been hoodwinked and it wasn't the best path for them in life after all. Oh, everybody, I haven't talked about crime yet. So obviously the UK has become a crime-ridden country, violent crime. Don't take my word for it. You can just see on social media robberies, these electric scooter thieves that go around London stealing people's mobile phones, robbing jewellery shops. It's just become a lawless country. But compare that to this country, everybody. You can let your 10-year-old children roam around here and you don't have to worry about pedos or having horrible things happening to them from a certain subsection of society, let's say. Yeah, everyone, so I spent most of the last 18 years living in Eastern Europe and nothing has happened to me. No, really, almost zero violent incidents whatsoever. As I said in a previous video, one time I was attacked by Moroccans. But apart from that, nothing that's happened to me. Okay, I'm almost 2 meters tall. And, I'm quite a deterrent for people. But still, if I was in the UK, I'm sure all this time I would have had multiple things that have happened to me. So everybody, I'm proud to be British, but I'm more proud of the Britain that I grew up in. When I was growing up, Britain was something in the world and it was largely safe. We didn't have open door immigration. The country wasn't full of strangers, as Keir Starmer has recently called them. And I felt absolutely fine being a white heterosexual male. But times have changed and empires come and go, and the UK has fallen, it's no doubt, and this change has been going on for decades really, but it's only in the last 20 years or so that things have been really decelerating. Now everybody, let's go back to talking about Two-Tier Keir now. Sometimes I'm just absolutely gobsmacked by things that I see in the British media. I try not to watch the British news too much, but recently what caught my eye was our Labour government saying that people from ethnic minorities are going to be treated much more, okay, let's not say much more lightly, but more lightly by the courts as opposed to native Brits. I just read some things online and I just cannot believe what I'm reading sometimes. And when people tell me, I think they're exaggerating or bullshitting. Does that mean I'm going to be treated more lightly in the UK because I'm a British Serb? I have Serbian ancestry, and the UK illegally bombed the fuck out of Serbia. I tell you what, everybody, this video is going much easier than I thought. It's much easier to make a video about things that you're passionate about. So sticking the boot into my home country is definitely something I'm passionate about. Yeah, everyone, and also Two-Tier Keir's increasing authoritarianism. There's no free speech in the UK. Quite a sizable percentage of people in the UK actually think we're living in a free democratic country. But let me tell you, everybody, your freedoms in the UK are pretty much limited to going down to Curry's at the weekend and buying a widescreen TV. So Keir Starmer is going after thousands of people in the UK every year for what they've said on social media. You said that a woman cannot have a willy and that babies cannot come out of bum holes. I'm going to send the police around your house and put you in jail for 5 years. But everybody, as bad as the Labour government are in the UK, this kind of thing has been going on for years when the so-called Conservatives were in power as well. So we know that in the UK there's a two-party system. The Tories and Labour are pretty much exactly the same as each other. Everybody, if you're waiting around in the UK for reform to make Britain great again, then good luck with that one. I mean, Farage, although I have a lot of respect for him, he's already said that he's not going to do what needs to be done with mass deportations. Yeah, everyone, so we've established that the UK resembles a giant stinking cowpat these days. But the question is, where do we go? Because we can see this authoritarianism that's increasing in the UK is increasing throughout the world. I think a lot of British people are moving to countries like Singapore, Dubai, America, looking for higher salaries, not necessarily less authoritarianism though. But if you work online, then you have more of a choice because you're not looking for a job in a country. You can, work from anywhere where you have internet. So there's lots of places you can live, but like I said, it's hard to escape the authoritarianism these days. Yeah, you might just be happy to find somewhere that's different to the UK. Maybe it has some sun, maybe it's cheap, maybe it has prettier girls, and everything's about balance in life. So there's no perfect country. You just got to weigh the plus and the minuses and say to yourself, okay, this country isn't perfect, I don't like this, I don't like that, but I feel much better here in the UK. And it's easy to get a residence permit or something like that. Oh, and one other thing, everybody, people in the UK are saying, okay, despite all the problems, the UK is still a beautiful country, and it's true. It's a green and luscious land with very pretty scenery, but we can't even enjoy the scenery these days as much because the sky's been blotted out by chemtrails. Or you can call them contrails if you want, it doesn't matter. The fact is that you can't enjoy sunny days in the UK anymore. Okay, so that's it for this video, everybody. So if you are planning on leaving the UK, then I wish you success on your journey to finding somewhere where you're happier in life. I've probably offended some people in this video, but I don't care. I'm the kind of person to speak my mind. So if you do disagree with something, leave me something in the comments. Or failing that, you can kiss this. Now everyone, I deliberately didn't tell you where I am at the start of this video because I wanted to hold your attention, but I'm actually in St. Petersburg in Russia, and it's a fantastic place to live. So I spend quite a lot of my time here throughout the year, and I know many of you in the UK have been brainwashed into thinking it's a dangerous country ruled by